Good morning, folks. This morning's soap comes by the way of Yulay. It's one of 3 of the Oktoberfest line, and this one here is Pumpkin Smash. And as it goes for how much is in each container, there's 2 ounces of soap in each container, and there you go. That's what the soap looks like. And I'll have the scent description down below. But definitely can smell the pumpkin, the spices. It's a really nice scent. Oktoberfest will be coming up before you know it. I've got the alum block, no rubber band this morning, unscented witch hazel methylated, and got the matching aftershave to go with it from Yulay. Still using the Shaven Sailor Beard oil. Excuse me. And today's blade in the fine Accoutrements marble razor is Voskhod. And if you're unfamiliar with this particular blade, it also comes double wrapped. It mentions here it tells you right here, do not wipe. And that's a Russian blade if you didn't know. Here's the shaver. It's been a moment since I mentioned this, but it's about roughly 3.5 inches in length, weighs 3.3 ounces, just a very slight overhang right there. And Flash saw the video and was asking about these bars. The best I could tell, and the way I understand it, was to help create, and it may be really hard to see, the channels that just are right there with that bar and the cap and whatnot. And I think that has something to do with the reason why the bar looks the way it does. It to me it seems like it helps with the creating that gap in between the gap and the cap and the bar. Help channel away the lather and whatnot. Besides, also it seems to add a little bit of weight, doesn't it? Got the Preshave cube here. It is getting smaller. It's taken a while to get to that point, though. Here recently, I had found a gentleman on YouTube, a fellow wet shaver, and I watched his video, and it was in a way pretty interesting to me, being a person that lathers, bowl lathers, and he shared his experience and what it would take to what he was going through to find his, I guess you might say, his perfect lathering bowl. Speaking of lathering bowls, mine today is a wooden one. It's made out of walnut and cherry. There's the lather whipped up inside, and it's got grooves inside of it. It's whipped up with a badger brush. This brush came by the way of Green Country razors, and I don't think, I've had a difficult time finding them, so I don't think they're actually in business anymore. But it does a pretty good job whipping up the lather, and this lather is going to be a little on the wet side. But I'll put a link down below. This gentleman sharing his experience, what he was going through trying to find that perfect lathering bowl. And one of the things I think that both of us kind of hit on was sometimes the best lathering bowl just may not be the most expensive one out there. He talks about he went to the Dollar Tree and just picked up a bowl, and he discusses the size, the shape, and all that sort of thing, and what was working best for him, what he liked. And it was one of those things that that's what I was looking for in my excuse me, my red bowl that I shave with, that's got a smooth bottom. That's one of my favorite bowls. It's the shape, the size of it. It just, I guess you might say, it hit the sweet spot for me. It's got that bottom that's easy to hang on to. It was like guess you might say the perfect mix of both worlds. It has a little pedestal bottom. It's one thing I like about these wooden bowls. I've got the way it's shaped on the bottom. It's got a slight groove to it. But the red bowl was found at a thrift store. I guess you might say to a degree one of his bowls that he really liked was found at the Dollar Tree. In other words, it doesn't necessarily have to be a shaving bowl. It doesn't have to be the most expensive bowl. It's one that works best for you. And you might be surprised where you find that favorite bowl at. Could be like Paul H. Don't know how many are familiar with the story with his red bowl. His came from the kitchen. Imagine, huh? He still has that as, I guess you might like his little icon, if you will. I think it's pretty cool because, you know, like I say, you'd be surprised. Your best shaving bowls are not quite like what you think they would be. Usually just right there what's handy. As it goes for shapes, I have not tried Shave Nation's bowl. I really want to. One of these days I want to give it a try because it appears to be the shape that I like. As it goes for grooves, I don't know that it really helps a whole lot. I don't really notice it. It could, and maybe I'm just not noticing it. But I know my smooth bottom bowl, it works just fine for me, without any grooves, bumps, or anything of the sort. Not that I'm not willing to try those, because I am, but I'm also getting to the point where the amount of room that I have for storage for this sort of thing is getting very small. And I've kind of already hit my, come very close. In other words, if I get another bowl, it might be another 1 or 2 bowls. One of them that I have seen of late, Colorado Razor Designs. He's got some that have lids, and that's kind of sort of interests me just a little. But one of them in particular, I have not tried anything in the shape of like a Captain's Choice bowl, which is another one that it kind of piqued my interest. It's not very tall, but it's more wide. Colorado Razor Designs, he refers to it as a dish as opposed to a bowl, because it's not very tall, but it is, you know, fits in your hand. And it's made out of wood, and it looks darn good. Yeah, I mean, it really does. He had a picture of it. I need to look to see if he's put it on his Etsy site for sale just yet. Last time I looked, I didn't see it. But I have to say, it sure did look good. It really did. It would be similar to this bowl I'm using here, where it's got different colors of woods. Oddly enough, it seems like to me that yesterday's shave was with the Gillette Silver Blue. Today with the Voskhod, and I'm kind of thinking this one here I think the Voskhod is very similar to the shave that I had with the Derby. It's a bit smoother. It's very close to being like the Derby shave. Very close. very smooth, very comfortable. The Gillette Silver Blue, you could feel just a little bit of the edginess of the blade. Still a smooth and comfortable shave. You know, like I say, we're kind of splitting hairs here when it comes to the difference. In other words, I haven't had a bad shave by any means with them, any of these blades so far. It's just I can tell the difference in between the Gillette Silver Blue and the Voskhod. Voskod's smoother. Very close to the Derby. There's in between the Derby and the Voskhod, the difference is, I mean, so small. It's almost not, you know, I don't know that I would be able to tell the difference. I'd have to, you know, switch them in and out to be able to tell. In the same shave, they're just that close. It's darn close. And these blades, these Voskhods, if you look on eBay, you hunt long. If I find that link again, if I find these blades on eBay again, at the dollar amount that I'm thinking of that I got mine on, I'll put a link down below, because these were really inexpensive blades. In other words, inexpensive, comparable even to Derby. I was really surprised to see them that cheap. I'm trying to remember. I want to say that I got 100 for $8, I think. I got them darn cheap. I couldn't resist. Imagine, huh? I probably should say, in my estimation, since I'm a daily shaver, can't exactly speak to this, but it does seem like that this particular shaver would handle multi-day growth, like a 3-day growth or something like that, because it does have those channels that seems to be able to work through the lather. In other words, not clog up. Just a little bit of feedback on the against the grain pass. I would almost say though on the against the grain pass, the Derby might be just a touch smoother. This is a good shave though, I'm telling you. Very good shaves with this shaver. Had some comments on Facebook. That's another discussion there. Going back and forth about this shaver. And I mentioned in the comments my thoughts. And I was going to wait till Friday to mention it. I wanted to make sure that my thoughts were, you know, pretty spot on as it goes to comparing this razor to a very popular razor in the way of the performance of this Marvel razor. And my thoughts are that the Marvel razor is such a smooth shaver, and this is only my third shave with a different blade and getting very smooth shaves. And comparing it to a razor that maybe a number of people can relate to, and this because it's so popular, like the Edwin Jagger D89. And I mentioned to him that I would compare the smoothness of the shave, the efficiency and whatnot, to the Rockwell 6C. That would be the one I would compare to, that a number of people have had. They got this razor, and they're very familiar with the type of shave they get with that razor. And that's the kind of shave that I'm getting with this one. Very smooth. I remember Jill's comment, I'm not trying to save any soap for the next shave on my ears. One thing I have noticed here lately, it seems to be the season. I'm not the only one affected at work about their nose. A lot of people were talking about the sinus drainage and things like that going on. So I'm glad I'm not the only one that's affected. My wife and I were talking last night about what we were smelling. It was funny. I smelled something that smelled something along the lines of vanilla. She thought she could smell smoke. It's like both of our noses were kind of messed up. Only got a little bit of stinging over here on this side from the alum block, but still, I mean, this is it's a smooth shaver. I guess if there was a con about this particular shaver that might hit on some folks is the weight. A 3.3 ounce shaver. Like I say, in the Parker line scheme of things, that they would consider this a heavyweight. And I know some people don't particularly care for a shaver that weighs this much, but for me, I sure do like it. The handle, like I say, the knurling on it, if you will, the grooves, are well rounded, so if you're not liking ones that are sharp, this would be a pretty nice handle to have. I don't have any issues with the handle, but for some others that may be a shower shaver or something of the sort, they may find it a little bit slippery, especially if you're not putting your little finger underneath the end of the bar there. I'm trying to make sure I don't spill this thing. The soap is slick, in other words, my hands. I got some soap in my hands still. And I don't think I've seen anybody accuse Yulay soaps of not being slick. Because I've got, so in other words, she's got two, let's just say two versions, not exactly of this particular soap, but ones with labels like this, and I think you know what I'm talking about once you look at her website. One's got like emu oil, and one's like a vegan, and then she's got the Hercules and the Aquarius lines of soaps, and I've got at least one of all those, and not a one of them, I guess you might say, that I have a problem with slickness. Still feel the menthol on my face. It's if you haven't tried one like this or an aftershave that's got a lot of menthol in it, it is quite a treat for your face. As you feel your face cooling down and what the effect it has on your face, it's just awesome. You can just kind of sit there, just stand there, and you can just feel your face as it changes temperatures. Really cool. I had a fantastic shave this morning. Hope everybody's doing well. Stay safe and smooth shaves. And if you're wondering what blade I'm going to use tomorrow, I think it's time for the feather. We'll catch you next time.